Hello everybody, and welcome to the Ask Me Anything for CrossFit Linchpin. Today is December 10th, 2020. As always, we have some great questions. We'll dive into them. And as I was mentioning to the private Facebook group before this official video started, I was kind of hoping when I posted these Ask Me Anything, hey, throw whatever you want out there, the most upvoted stuff will get answered. I was kind of hoping that nobody would ask about Jillian Michaels, who made a little bit of news this week, having a little bit of a CrossFit rant, if you will, whatever you want to call it. But alas, some folks did ask about that because it's very topical, so we may touch on it mildly, or if I get a wild hair and I get a little fired up, I don't know, we may stay on it a bit. I don't know. It's going to be a bit of a choose your own adventure. So let's start in with the regular questions first, if you will. So the most upvoted one was from Cameron T. Had a question, basically it's about lateral movements and injury outside of CrossFit. Doesn't think that CrossFit trains much lateral movements because it isn't quote unquote functional. You're moving larger weights forwards and backwards or up and down, but sideways very infrequently occurs. But then you go ahead and you're trying to make a juke move in football, or you break your ankle in basketball, etc., etc. Would GPP, general physical preparedness, benefit from more lateral movements? Allow me to answer this simply. Yes. There's the most simple answer that I could give you. Yes. I think lateral movements are wonderful and fantastic. And as a matter of fact, it's funny that you bring this up, Cameron, because I have a to-do list that never seems to get smaller. And I've actually had some conversations recently with some folks that I know, like, and trust about this exact same topic and how to work some of them in a way that makes sense. Because I feel, personally, that lateral movements, some agility drills, things of that nature, some like agility ladder work on your footwork, or putting out some cones and running some different drills where you're moving sideways and forwards and backwards and things like that. I think they're not only beneficial to sports, but just the aging process in general just wreaks havoc on agility and coordination. And we certainly do things that require extreme agility and coordination. But since the topic is specifically, lateral movement and whatnot, that is an area that I feel has some room to grow. And putting some of that stuff into Linchpin, I think will only benefit everybody. But here's a bit more on that as well. I would be overwhelmingly hesitant to put it into the actual workout of the day. I would most likely go in the warm-up or as part of an optional accessory work. And again, we could go down a long rabbit hole as we do every now and then about programming, but here's an oversimplification. But in general, if we embrace functional movements because of their ability to move large loads long distances quickly, aka produce power, force, distance, and time, average power, if you will. And in general, we want to embrace movements that do just that, large loads, long distances quickly, do a lot of work in a short period of time, and produce power. Power is intensity. Intensity gets us to the good stuff, right? Gets us fitter, faster. Then, doing some skater jumps, some like lateral skater jumps back and forth, that's not going to make a regular appearance, right? It's not going to be a lot of bang for your buck right there. But, that, like I just said initially, that's not to say that they don't have value and have their place and benefit the athlete, not only on a field of sport, but just in life in general. And so for those reasons, yeah, that's why I'm looking into, I think we'll put some in the accessory work every now and then, and as well as the warm-ups, and I think that will benefit people tremendously. Here's another thing, and this has been said, for a really long time, is, it just depends on what you're doing with your life, okay? So for example, myself and the overwhelming majority of people that I know do very little lateral movements, be it in the warm-up, workout, cool-down, accessory, whatever it happens to be, and not a single one of those people is injured. Zero. Literally zero. Now, Jillian Michaels would probably know a million, right? Because that's apparently the crew that she hangs around with. But I know literally zero. that are not, that tweak themselves due to some sort of, lack of lateral movement. However, in that same sentence, I have to say that most of the people I know are just working out to get fit, to be healthy, to play with their kids, to work in the yard, to be a first responder, police, military, fire, whatever it happens to be. Now, if in your spare time you are going to embrace adult rec league soccer or adult rec league basketball, softball, baseball, flag football, you name it, you better darn sure be working some agility drills beyond a shadow of a doubt. Or you can just sit on the sideline during like an adult league rec soccer game with a bag of popcorn and just hear the hamstrings pop and hear the Achilles tendons go, during a basketball game. Like, you don't want that same fate. So if you do spend your time pursuing, some sports for fun in that sort of an arena, they should be in your repertoire beyond a shadow of a doubt. So always feel free to throw those things in. Always. They're great. And we always said that, like CrossFit is, it's the world's most beautiful strength and conditioning program. It is your GPP, your general physical preparedness. It is your base. And that base of strength and conditioning, that base of GPP, should allow you to go and do your sport better. It should then provide you the head-to-toe strength and conditioning to go and, hit some balls, throw some pitches, run the bases, play some hoops, whatever it happens to be, and do the drills that you need to do specific to that sport to excel in that sport. But CrossFit is your strength and conditioning base to do that, to layer those sports onto. We always used to say also, like, I think some people think, and I'm not saying that Cameron falls into this camp, but some people think that, CrossFit believes itself to be magic, and that's not the case. Just because you do CrossFit, and maybe you're exceptional at CrossFit, that has nothing to do with your ability to do well at a sport. You can't just do CrossFit and think you're going to be good at baseball. You can't just do CrossFit and think, fill in the blank. That's just not how it works. We used to say that if you're my athlete and I'm training you, and you are a mixed martial art fighter, I will tell you what, you have my promise that when you enter the ring, you will be ferociously strong, explosive, you will be fit, you will have midline strength for days, you will, to the best of my ability, you will be prepared to not get winded and tired. However, you might get knocked out cold in the first 10 seconds because none of the stuff that I'm going to teach you makes you a good fighter. It doesn't actually make you a good athlete at that chosen sport. You still need to go do the sport and do whatever sport-specific training, skills, or drills are critical to success in that arena. Okay, bit of a long answer, but with that being said, I do feel that even just the general population benefits from moving their body in different directions, and so yeah, that's on the to-do list. So it should start making an appearance in there. And even we had a question a while ago as to why sometimes will we do a 200-meter run or a 400-meter run, or sometimes a 200-meter run will be programmed as 200-meter shuttle sprints, 50 meters down and back, and even just that, even though it's not this super complicated, lateral movement deal, you're still getting a nice change of direction. You're still getting acceleration and deceleration, which is very easy to neglect, if that stuff doesn't get programmed every now and then, such as like death by 10-meter shuttle sprints, etc., etc. So anyway, but yeah, I think it's wonderful, and yeah, you're going to see some. The next most upvoted question was about Ms. Jillian Michaels, but we're going to pause that, okay? Answer some of the other normal questions, and then we'll see what kind of, time we're looking at the end. Okay, so skipping over Jillian Michaels, the next one is from Andrew W. Andrew basically says, he's new to CrossFit, So noodle a lot of these movements, and he just wants to make sure that he's doing the form properly, and that makes sense. So what are some ways to do that? So first of all, good on you for caring. You've been listening, right? Mechanics, consistency, and intensity. You, Andrew, you are not the first person to be in this situation, and there are ways to succeed. It just takes a little bit of effort. So there are tremendous, beautiful, countless videos. If you just go to YouTube or to go to CrossFit's YouTube channel, and any CrossFit movement that you can think of, there's an incredible, beautiful, high quality video of it, like with a white wall behind it, an infinity wall where you're just focusing on the athlete. It gives you various angles. The points of performance are written on the screen. It's an incredible training tool. All you need to do, and there's journal articles after journal articles if you prefer written text over something visual. But I think a lot of people prefer the visual route. All you need to do, most people have a smartphone, right? Video yourself, record yourself on the smartphone in an appropriate angle, mimic the angle that you see. Maybe you're trying to make sure that you're doing the air squat properly. Look up the air squat on CrossFit's YouTube channel, see the angle that they're showing in the video, record yourself with the same angle, and then maybe you have that yourself on your phone and you have on your laptop CrossFit's video pulled up. Put the two next to each other and you can go slow motion, frame by frame, and see, to the best of your ability, you are going to try to mimic that movement, that idealized movement that is shown in that CrossFit video. Now this is obviously if you have access to a real human being who's a capable coach and can get their hands on you and give you direct one-on-one feedback in real life, nothing's better than that. But there's a tremendous amount of people that don't have that available, too busy, that's too expensive, schedule doesn't allow, whatever it happens to be, and there are ways to do this at home or in your garage all by yourself. It just requires a little bit of effort, but that effort is worth it. And so you can compare those two videos and just see where does it start to deviate. You're watching that athlete slowly descend in the air squat in that CrossFit video. Feet are nice and flat on the ground. Hips are going back and down kind of at a 45-degree angle. Knees are staying nice out and over the toes. Torso's upright, hasn't lost the lumbar curve, etc., etc. And you're going frame by frame with yourself, and then you see, oh, geez, on the athlete on the screen, their feet are still firmly planted on the ground. Mine start that way, and now the closer I get to getting near parallel, I can see some daylight under my heels. I'm rolling up onto the midfoot or onto the balls of my feet. Well, that's no good. Or I can see, yep, I'm nice and below parallel. My foot's firmly planted on the ground, but my back doesn't look like the athlete in the video. I need to get some looser hamstrings, ankles, and get my torso more upright and get a better lumbar curve. Or, oh, my knees are caving in. Their knees aren't caving in. I need to make sure I press my knees out. And you could play this same game on the deadlift, on the push jerk, just use a broom handle or a PVC pipe. You're just working on the technique, and you can get yourself so far with this. It's fantastic. Also, the CrossFit Linchpin private Facebook group is a wonderful resource. There's a tremendous amount of members in here that have their level 1, their CrossFit level 1, and their CrossFit level 2, and we even have some CrossFit level 3s floating around in there. And we also have an ever-growing number of affiliate owners in there as well. And so athletes on a regular basis will post a little video and being like, hey, here's a video of me deadlifting in my garage. Any feedback is welcome. Now, obviously, if you choose to take or not take that feedback, that's your call, but I see this happen all the time. And we've got some really smart, capable, helpful members full of nothing but good experience and good intentions, and people are improving all the time. So yes, it absolutely can be done, the situation that you find yourself in. And then Jeff kind of had a follow-up question to that. Jeff G, who's kind of said, in this world that we live in, the option that I just gave there makes sense, but have I ever considered creating some videos that would serve as an on-ramp program, so to speak? And there are some things like that already exist out there in the world. But since the question was, have I considered doing something like that, all I will say is, it's already in the works, my friend. Already in the works. And it's probably going to be cooler than you think. And there's going to be, the goal is for there to be 3 different options. And option 1 right now is really close to being done and completed. And I think it will be a great resource. So once that actually launches, I'll let everybody know. But yep, for sure. Yes, so good questions. Okay, one more normal question. So the normal question was, I can't remember, I think Anne asked this. Will you rest Christmas Day or program a tastefully, brutally workout? So the short answer is, it will be the latter. Christmas happens to fall, December 25th happens to fall on a Friday, and we've got a real treat in store for Friday. And it is my gift to the Linchpin community. And I do it because I care, and it's going to be great. I think you're really going to like it. Everyone's been good this year, and so you're getting a wonderful present. Okay. I had 1 or 2 more written down, but it's been going for 35 minutes already, and we haven't touched on Ms. Jillian Michaels. So I kind of feel like we should, because I don't know if it's going to be 5 minutes or 25 minutes. I don't know yet. So let's just, and there's still some Linchpin shout-outs that I want to give as well. You know what? Jillian can wait. I'm going to do the Linchpin shout-outs, and then we'll do Jillian last, okay? Because we're going in order of importance, and she falls last. So, okay, so here's some cool Linchpin shout-outs. From Nick Harris. Says, guys, I just want to say that I've struggled to find motivation and get fit for years. Never really truly enjoyed the stuff that I've done, including going down to his local gym. Linchpin has me out in the garage 5 days a week for the last 4 weeks, including when I had to go to France with no equipment, still wanted to train, loving every minute of it. Motivation is something that he's always struggled with, and so the community is absolutely helping him out. So glad that he found it. Super cool. Glad to hear that, Nick. Jackson Taylor, Stone Cold Marathon. So, Jackson, today I completed the St. Jude Marathon in 4 hours and 58 minutes. I didn't train for it at all. I know, I'm very smart. I entered the pain cave the last few miles. May have pulled a David Goggins, but honestly, I just wanted to see if just hammering this program for a couple months, would do it. He helped raise some money. Now it's time for some pizza and some adult beverages. Just had a glass of water, walked out the door, and did a marathon. Jill Kathleen both. She posted a cool photo that was a while ago when we posted a ruck march for a workout that she did her first ever ruck march. So I just love people doing some new stuff, having some wonderful variety there. Interval work is what I named this one. This post is from Simon Scott. Well, that was dreadful, is how it starts. Before joining this wonderful community, I didn't really do any interval work. Now I'm growing to both love and hate it in equal measure, because it's effective and painful at the same time. So good on you for doing the stuff that, we do what is effective, right? Not what's popular. Ivan B. I just wrote from Russia with love. Ivan's over there in Russia, and he's just always representing the community, always posting some photos of his family, and just he's always just doing something crazy, and I absolutely love it. And I also love just the global aspect of our community. Just puts a big smile on my face. Cameron Vader, 1 year anniversary. Today is my 1 year Linchpin anniversary. Love the past year of programming. Done almost every workout. I feel fitter and stronger and healthier than ever. And it's the most consistent that I've ever been with my workouts and my nutrition. So, very cool. Congrats to Cameron. Let's see. Jackson Tyler. Beyond the whiteboard milestone. My target milestone on Beyond the Whiteboard was to run over 1 million meters this year, and I just broke it tonight. And of course, the marathon is helpful with that. It's the million meters. Cameron T. I'll try to get through this without bawling my eyes out. So Cameron T. Life warning update. Missed the past 2 weeks of workouts. Been pretty crazy around here. Settling the 3 and 5-year-old foster girls in. Now they've started school or daycare program most of the week, so I thought I might get some semblance of normal working out back over lunch. Right on cue, during round 3, my wife walked into the garage and said the girl's 1-year-old baby brother's placement got rejected, and they wanted to know if we'd be willing to take him. We haven't answered yet. 5 kids under 5, plus 4 in diapers or pull-ups. My head is spinning, don't know what the answer is. And so Cameron and his family are absolute angels, right? That there are people like that. And what's also really cool is we had a Linchpin member who shall remain nameless realize that Cameron's household had a lot going on, and reached out and just paid for the next 1 year of his membership, so that one less household expense that they have to worry about. Okay, and this is the final one. Then we'll get to Ms. Michaels. From Aaron B. Well, Coach and Linchpin family, I deviated from the workout today. Today is my birthday, and every year on my birthday, I attempt as many burpee bar muscle-ups as I am old. This year, I wanted to improve over last year and get as many burpee ring muscle-ups as possible, too. A year ago, I could barely do 1 ring once in a while. I've been working on them for months, along with just following the programming. I have worked to trim alcohol out of my diet the last 30 days as well. And trimming a couple pounds helped tremendously, and he was happy to get 30 burpee ring muscle-ups and 20 burpee bar muscle-ups. I'm only 44 today, but was keeping score and realized I was just over 44, so why not go for 50 and call it good? So that is a legit amount of work. Congratulations. Okay, here we go. I don't know what the time domain will be on this. So, if you're unfamiliar with it, Jillian Michaels from The Biggest Loser, the TV show, blah, blah, blah. Not a big fan of CrossFit, and a few days ago, sometime within the last week, was on Instagram, I believe, and, made a video that was, 7-10 minutes long, just lambasting CrossFit and how it was the spawn of Satan, and it was just, has no value, has no structure, it's just wrought with injuries, and just chaos, just mass chaos, just an abomination. I will be honest with you that I did not watch her video because I don't need to. I'm not supposed to sound pompous, but I doubt she has anything that I haven't heard before in there. But I did read a little write-up that had a summary of her bullet points. So I did read that to see what some of her prime arguments were. So, oh man, and the reason that I didn't post some big video, with my comments against her comments and whatnot is I've spent far too much of my time in similar arenas. So times weren't always what they are right now. We're in 2020 right now, and in general, other than Jillian Michaels, most people have come to realize that there's a reason there are so many CrossFit affiliates and athletes and everything all around the world, and such a huge, vibrant, positive communities, because one of two things. It's either A, the most ingeniously devised smoke and mirrors routine that actually doesn't work and just kills people and people blow out their backs. And just for some reason though, it just grows like wildfire and people love it. And it's this, again, this evil plan that we're just fooling everybody with. That's option one. Or option two is it grows at the rate that it grows and the community is so passionate about it and people spread the word because it actually works. It's shocking that it could be that simple, but CrossFit is at the point where it is, and so many people know about it and do it because it works, and it works darn near better than anything else that I've ever experienced in my life, and it's actually fun and sustainable. I started doing it in 2005, and so I've completed 15 years. I think, calendar-wise, I'm in my 16th year of doing CrossFit, and 4 or 5 of those years, when I was with HQ on the training staff, I spent as traveling around the world teaching CrossFit to people. So every weekend I had 50 people sitting in the audience, live audience. And this was probably in like 2006, 7, 8, 9, that kind of area around there. And we would explain the CrossFit methodology and in real time answer questions. And like I said, in 2020, right now, people know CrossFit's wonderful and works, but 10 years ago, 14, 13 years ago, there was plenty of CrossFit haters out there that had their, their exercise science degree from something else, and whatever CrossFit was doing flew in the face of what they were taught by their precious exercise physiology teacher, and they thought CrossFit was the devil. And, every weekend, to some degree, I would go to war with questions anyway. It was not often a positive exchange. Like, I did this Jillian Michaels thing weekend after weekend after weekend all around the world. And in large part, the people that would, whatever it was that they didn't like about CrossFit, fill in the blank, choose your favorite critique. 99 times out of 100, that person who didn't like CrossFit, or thought it was dangerous, or thought it wasn't effective, or thought it was random and ill-planned, or thought there was no rhyme or reason to it, or thought it was gold, or thought whatever it was that they thought, upon further investigation and conversation, did not actually have even what I would call a moderate understanding of what CrossFit was, the meanings, the definitions, the methodologies, and why we do business. I mean, this happened so many, I did this for a living. I did 200 level 1 seminars. There's 50 people in every seminar. That's ballpark 10,000 people in real life, not to count anyone I've met at the games or traveling. Like, I can't even tell you how many times I've had a very similar conversation to what Jillian Michaels posted. And when you actually have the time in real life, one-on-one, to sit there and talk and go back and forth, the person, the overwhelming majority of the time, was just profoundly ill-informed or just doing something wrong. That's the greatest thing, just doing something wrong. They were flailing themselves in the garage with poor technique and, loading up the bar too much, and they haven't developed strict strength yet, but yet they're kipping, and they do something dumb, or their friend does something dumb, and they go, well, that was CrossFit. CrossFit did that to him. That's what you were doing in your garage, looking like a spastic idiot, is not CrossFit. I don't know what else to tell you. Just because you load up a bar and try to move it quickly and the movement happens to be functional, that doesn't mean that you're doing CrossFit. What CrossFit teaches is the opposite of that, and there is a path and a journey in scaling and modifications and mechanics and consistency and intensity, which is relative to the individual. And if you take all that knowledge in and then you go home and you choose to violate it or ignore it or artificially speed up the process because you're patient or your ego gets away, whatever it is, you're not doing CrossFit. And if you tweak yourself or you tweak your buddy or you have some sort of a bad experience, well, you were never doing CrossFit. So don't blame CrossFit. Blame yourself. Blame your lack of understanding and your lack of ability to follow instructions. But don't blame CrossFit. I mean, I am intimately familiar, since it was my full-time job for quite so many years, with our methodology, how we teach it, why we teach it, and the progressions that go along with it. And there was always a direct correlation when I would meet somebody that had a bad experience. I would always be somewhat intrigued. I'd be like, what? How is it that myself and person B that reports a wildly different experience with CrossFit than I've had and that all my friends have had, how is it that we're both supposedly doing the same thing, but we've had two astonishingly different outcomes, two wildly different experiences, be it positive or negative? Something doesn't add up. And then, of course, when you sift through the ashes, upon further investigation, I don't know what in the world they were doing or think that they were doing, but they weren't doing CrossFit in the way that it was taught. So, again, if I had a nickel for every time I've had the conversation, I'd be a very wealthy man right now. So Jillian Michaels and the bullet points I saw from her rant, there's nothing new there. Nothing new in any way, shape, or form. And there's nothing that, upon conversation, doesn't get demystified and corrected immediately. Immediately. But here's the other part of it. The word that I just used right there is, it doesn't get demystified. It only gets demystified and progress only gets made if you're having a conversation. And a conversation means that you've got two parties, party A and party B, that are discussing something. And to have a conversation and not just have one party talking at the other party. A conversation means that both parties have to be open to the possibility that whatever preconceived notions they are entering with are incorrect, and be open-minded to the possibility of that change. If either party does not have that mindset, which requires maturity and removal of ego, because you have to be open to the fact that something that you passionately believe is wrong, which is easy to say that you're okay with that, very tough to do. If both parties are open to that, well, then we can have a conversation. But if one of the parties, even when presented with factual, compelling, logical evidence, will refuse to change their point of view because for whatever reason, they are wed to it and married to it ignorantly and passionately, and they're just going to go down with the ship, you're not having a conversation. And sadly, the time that you spent conversing with that other party is time that you'll never get back on this planet. It's time that you didn't spend with your friends, your family, laughing. Talking to a wall is not fun. You know what? And there are some folks out there that are just walls. And sadly, I've had conversations with them. You know, what is that line from Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, where he says something like, you shouldn't be surprised when a fig tree produces figs, right? I mean, so if you're entering a conversation with somebody that you're relatively sure is pig-headed, stubborn, know-it-all, vain, narcissistic, has a huge ego, doesn't like to be wrong, has a lot of maturing to do, you shouldn't be shocked when that person, for reasons that mystify you, just hold on to their opinions, even in the face of overwhelming logic and public outcry of positive stories to the counter. Just hold on to their opinions. You're not having a conversation. But I've had plenty of conversations that went the other way. And from, we've had people in the audience. If you do a bunch of level 1 seminars, there's 50 people in the audience. You've got everything in the audience from regular folks to professional athletes to literal brain surgeons and nuclear physicists to special operations people. I mean, everyone under the sun, to marathoners. And if what CrossFit does and espouses seems to be fly in the face of what they've always learned, I've also had conversations with some of those people that I just mentioned who were wonderful human beings, open to learning, open to hearing what the other party said and trying to understand why it might make sense. And those people who came in thinking that CrossFit didn't make sense to them or something didn't smell right or it seemed weird, and then they actually opened their mind and their ears, left the level 1 seminar as some of the biggest proponents and supporters, because there's nothing to hide. That's the great thing about CrossFit. I mean, we have nothing to hide. We are an open book about why we do what we do and why it works. We're very big into actual explaining, very big into it. And so I'd have those people sit there in the level 1 seminar that thought, fill in the blank, whatever it was stupid, but they didn't quite know what CrossFit was. And then they'd listen to the first lecture, right? And they'd hear that, and of course we logically explain why we do what we do and the safe, meaningful progressions to ensure success. And they'd hear the first lecture and be like, okay, well, that first lecture made sense, but I know there's 4 lectures today and 5 tomorrow, so during one of those is going to be the moment that I can stand up from the audience and go, aha, see? I knew it. That's what I was waiting for. That's why CrossFit is stupid. That doesn't make sense. And it just never came because they walked in with a preconceived notion of what CrossFit was that was erroneous. And they'd listen to the second lecture and they're like, yep, made sense. Then lunchtime on day 1 would come. They were still cool with everything. Day 1 would come to a close. Everything's cool. And then we'd play this game until finally the last lecture on Sunday would close, would finish. And that person would come up. I mean, I can't even tell how many times this happened. And I'd have a great conversation with them. They're like, wow, I thought I knew this, but I was not properly informed. And what you guys do makes a lot of sense. And I can see why. I mean, that happened all the time. But every now and then, you'd get the person that just, for whatever reason, is staunchly dedicated to their opinion, whether it's right or wrong. And I don't know what Jillian Michaels' motivation is for this. We can all, guess. Beats me. That would be speculation, so I won't speculate on that. But I can say, based upon the entire dedication of my life to constantly varied function moves at high intensity, and I've spent more time doing that than anything by far, that any of those grievances that she aired are very simply discussed as to why they're not true. But I don't know if she would be open to that, and then the sort of person that would then issue an apology as well for being wrong, basically, and for being wrong. There's another thing, and 9:55, we've been going 55 minutes. I'm going to try to wrap this up. This is just, I can't say this applies to her, but it might, okay? I also just think that there's a fallacy, and I can't remember the name of it. Is it the founder's fallacy? There's some term like that basically, if an individual gets some amount of success, they get success, fame, notoriety, they become wealthy, whatever it happens to be in their niche. Maybe it's fitness, maybe it's technology, maybe it's, I don't know, you're an author, you started a company, whatever it happens to be, there can be this problematic little thought that since you have achieved incredible success in your little sphere of the world, that must mean you know a lot about other spheres and other things in the world, and that's not necessarily the case. And so I think sometimes, these athletes, these figures, like Jillian Michaels, or maybe some sports figures that have developed an incredible platform and some fame as well. Actors fall into this category as well, that now they have this incredible platform, they have this big audience, and they have achieved incredible notoriety and success in their slice of the pie, and they start using their platform to spout off about things outside of their purview, outside of their scope of practice, and they just figure that because I'm amazing and well-known in this one sphere, I must be amazing in this other sphere as well, and that's not always the case. So sadly, Jillian Michaels may have done a fair amount of damage, and that saddens me, because I think some people just fall into that trap of, well, if this social media figure, this athlete, this sports figure, somebody like Jillian Michaels, this actor, actress, whatever it happens to be, well, since they're famous and they have 500,000, 1 million, whatever million followers, they must know what they're talking about, because look how many people are following them. So if they say something, it must be true. It's got to be true. And all of those things that I just said, salary, notoriety, fame, the size of your platform, recognizability, sponsors, none of those things equate to knowledge or credibility. None of them. There are some people with huge platforms and social media reach that I think are absolutely moronic. And I shudder to think that people, I don't know why people follow them. And that's also in the CrossFit space. There's some people in the CrossFit space with big followings that I just shake my head and I say, I hope no one's falling for what's being said here. But that happens. And sadly, Jillian Michaels has a decent following, and there will be some folks that just, without further investigation, just take whatever she says at face value and believe it. And that saddens me greatly. What I hope is that people will do a little bit of legwork, figure out what CrossFit is, and actually see what an amazing, life-changing thing, and it's just a wacky world. It's a wacky world. So anyway, 9:59 a.m. This is gone for an hour. So I'm sure somebody will get on some debate with her, and whoever that is, that was a torch that I carried for many, many years during the level 1 circuit. And so if somebody else is going to grab that torch, my hat's off to you. Have fun chatting with her. And I hope she is open-minded to an actual conversation as to why the things that she said are not true, even if she strongly believes them. So that's it. Have a great day. Enjoy your rest day, and we will talk soon.